All right. Hello, everyone. I am so happy to see you all. We've got about a minute before we'll get going, but thank you for being early. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, close as many tabs as you can on your computers right now, because I know it is easy to get distracted. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll get going in just a second. All right. For those of you who are new to SQL, you won't, or our webinar platform, you will not see yourself on screen. So don't be alarmed if you're not seeing yourself. It's not like Zoom, it's a little different. So I can see that you're here. You've got a list of all the folks that are here in the room with us on your right side. And at the very top, there is a chat feature. So if you wouldn't mind, please pop into the chat now and just introduce yourselves, where you're coming from, and what kind of studio business you have. And then we can all get to know each other a little better. Awesome. Hello. Oh my gosh, what a great group of people we have here. We even have some of our other industry consultants here.
Yeah,
Hi, Michael. That's awesome. Okay. Thank you for those of you popping in. Welcome, Ashley, Taylor. Hi, Nicole. Great to see you. Okay, so we've got all kinds of studios in the house today, which is fantastic. This is going to be good to have some questions from different types of businesses. All right, let's formally kick this off. Welcome, everyone. This is our Walla webinar series. Today is all about Meta and how we can work with Meta as a business using Walla. And we've brought in one of our in-house experts, Tim Tullis, who is with Studio Scale. He and his sister Jen, if you haven't connected with them yet, are just a wealth of information when it comes to marketing, driving leads, and really nurturing those folks to build a long-term member community at your studio. Tim and Jen actually own, Tim and Jen actually own a 4-location aerial yoga business at Tacoma, Seattle area. Is that?
Yep, Seattle.
Seattle, okay. And have recently moved over to Walla. So he's actually using our platform. He can speak really knowledgeably about the day-to-day details. And Tim has also been one of our expert marketers that we've partnered with to help build marketing automations for all of you guys. So some of you may already know him. Tim, I'll turn it over to you to just share a little bit more about yourself, and we can start diving into the content.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Laura. And yeah, it's super cool seeing all the people in here. I see a bunch of people that I've worked with, help you all onboard on to Walla. So I'm super excited to really show you all how we are going to be building ads together today and really helping out bring in new leads to your business. And I think before I start, I just want to briefly introduce myself. Like Laura said, my name is Tim Tullis. I'm out here in Seattle, Washington. My sister and I run Flight Room Seattle for aerial yoga studios. And then we also do this consulting business as well for studios across the country. And the real reason that we've done the consulting business is we noticed that there's a huge need and a gap for studios of like, hey, how do we really expand our business? How do we bring in new leads? How do we decrease churn? How do we expand all of our revenue generating programs? So it was really taking all of my corporate experience prior to this. I worked about 18 years in the digital marketing and advertising world. I worked for companies such as like Nordstrom, Microsoft, T-Mobile, Rover. So I have this vast experience of working with these platforms, understanding the targeting, understanding kind of the overall sales process and how we can really increase your revenue. Because I think like one of the main things, I'm sure a reason a ton of people are here is as studio owners like myself, like what we're really looking for is like, how can we create consistent month over month revenue? How do we keep a constant sales channel and sales funnel leading in so we're consistently bringing in new leads? Because no matter how amazing, no matter how incredible our business is, there will be churn. People will move, people will age out of things. Different life events may happen for different people. And so that's why it's always important that we're setting up these sales channels to make sure that we're able to sustain a really healthy and profitable business, that we can have this great month over month revenue, that we're not, hopefully dealing with the issue that a lot of us have, the challenge of like, oh, 1 month I feel amazing, we're going to be the richest people ever. And the next month you're like, oh my God, we're going out of business. So it's trying to also like really reduce the peaks and valleys of running a business to make sure like, hey, how can we really create the sustainable long-term model for our company, using our wonderful tools like Walla and using these great advertising tools that Meta provides. So with that like brief introduction there, what I really encourage everyone here to do, because this will be a work along session
Mhm.
here, because I really want to empower you all to be able to also build some of your own basic ads as well. Because one of the great things about this, about Walla and Facebook with this technology, is it's a great democratization for small businesses. It allows us to reach and target customers like never before, and really compete with larger scale companies. Because as Laura and I were actually talking before this call, studios have been very used to competition in bigger cities, but we're seeing a larger brand starting to move more into suburbs and things like that. So we're having studios and maybe more rural areas seeing a little bit more competition lately. And this is where using this technology, using these advertising programs can really help you compete, can really help bring in a consistent amount of customers and really keep your business healthy. And one of the things that I just wanted to say before we get in is you can do this. Everyone can do this. Everyone has the budget to do this. You'll see on Facebook and Google, they'll be like, hey, I think you should actually spend $100 a day with us. And that, like, ignore that. That's their own sales process. It's very good for them if you spend as much money with them as possible. But what I'm here to show you today is that you can do this under a reasonable budget, that you can automate these things so it's scalable as your business grows, and really show you the value of what these advertising programs can do. So, like I said, I would go ahead and log into Walla and log into your Facebook account if you have, so you can follow along. And we'll be following up after this call with this video. So if you get lost or whatever, no worries. I'm also always here. You can schedule a strategy session with me. We can discuss more about in depth of your programs as well. And then one last note before I get in is please, since this is a working session, please type your questions into the chat. Laura will be managing the chat and she will interject and stop me to really show, so we can answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah.
So
let me just quickly say,
go ahead.
for those of you who have been on our webinars before, they're all about getting something done in your business. So we're trying not to sit here and just preach at you and then put something else that's overwhelming on your list. We'd love for you to get something done. So, if you need to have that separate tab open with Walla and Meta, please do it. But also, there are no stupid questions. Like,
Yep.
I will tell you right now, I have like 5% knowledge of meta advertising. So I will be learning alongside you guys, and I may have the dumbest questions.
Yeah.
I know how to do it in Walla really well, but truly don't be shy. This is where you can feel safe asking these questions, because this is the group that, these are your peers right alongside you right now. And I promise you, a lot of them are sitting there with the same questions.
Exactly. And one of the things I tell all my clients is marketing and advertising is a fluid and evolving practice. You're always learning new things. I think that's the other thing to just remind yourself, is you're not going to hit a home run on your first ad ever necessarily. The importance, and we'll get into this as we do this, is building the ad, understanding how the ad's performing, and then making modifications to create messaging and offers that maybe resonate even better with your clients. So I will stop introducing myself and we can actually get in, so you guys can have a productive morning and get an ad built for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So the first thing here, and Laura and I were joking, this is a live Facebook account. So hopefully nothing crazy pops up into this feed from Facebook at any point.
No judgment. We don't know what Meta's going to serve Tim at this moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then as you can see, my sister is actually the admin for our account. So I'm under her account here. And what you're going to want to do first on the left is you'll see your name over here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find ads manager on yours. This is typically organized by how often you use each one. So ads manager, if you've never used it, might be buried at the bottom. But once you do that, you'll click on ads manager and it will take you to the Facebook ads manager. So 1 second here. And so when it takes it to here, by default, it's going to serve it to your personal account. So what you're probably going to have to do is, like, one, you want to make sure your personal account is attached to your business account. And once your personal account is attached to your business account, you can click here. And you can see here, I have some other clients that I've worked with creating their ads and managing their ads as well for them. But you can see here for Flight Room, I just click my Flight Room account, and this is our ad account. And typically at this point, when new people come in and they go in the ad manager and they see all this stuff, the first thing they're doing is like, oh my God, this looks crazy. I don't know what's going on. How do I even get started? And that's really what I'm here for. So as you can see here, what you're really looking at here is initially Facebook ads are broken up into basically 3 sections. You have the campaign, and the best way of kind of thinking about the campaign is that's like the overall objective of the campaign of the ad. Then you have your ad set, and your ad set is really more about targeting. Who do we want to see this ad? And then the ad itself, where we have the creative, the copy, the call to action, etc., all that stuff. So to get started, the first thing, all you need to do is under campaigns, you hit create here. And so this is going to be a very important step. So when we're creating a new ad, this is going to define what type of ad that we are going to do. So the first thing you're going to see here is buying type. Always keep it at auction. Meta has basically a way where they're bidding on people to make sure that they're displaying their ad to the absolute best customers for you. It learns as it goes on. So please keep your bidding type to auction. Other things, just so you can see this is awareness. I would not worry about awareness as the studios. This is typically for really large businesses. You can run a traffic ad, and you can see here that Facebook will tell you, like, hey, this is what it's good for. A traffic ad, like, might be good maybe if you're doing like a teacher training or a retreat or something like that, where you're just trying to get people to your site to maybe read more, get more information, etc. App promotion, I wouldn't worry about. And actually sales, this is more for direct retail, so I won't worry about that as well. The primary one we're going to use today is the leads. And you can see here, you can do messenger, instant forms, conversions, and calls. The reason we're using leads is this is how it really connects to Walla. And this is how we can use Walla in conjunction with this to really help convert these new leads into actual paying customers, because that's what's really important. By selecting leads, we are going to be able to actually capture people's information, like their name, email, phone number, etc., when they see and they express interest in our ads. And as we get deeper into this, I'll show you how that will automatically get transported into your Walla account. So you'll be able to communicate to them ongoing to make sure you can have follow-up conversations with them, making sure their experience is going well, etc. So let's go ahead and select the leads format here, and then we are going to hit continue. And then it'll say, do you want tailored? I prefer doing manual. This allows complete customization over all of the settings. And I just recommend that because you're really going to want to be able to see and change anything you want to do. This is much more like constrained and just trying to get people to set up an ad. So we select manual leads ad, and then we hit create. And then as you can see here, it's created a new campaign, a new ad set, and a new lead ad. So the first thing we're just going to do is we're going to be like Walla webinar ad. So that is so we can see, hey, you can see already over here, my Walla webinar ad is being created. You can select certain categories if you really want to. For our instance, we don't really need to categorize our ad because we are going to be doing a very specific targeting when we get to the new leads ad set. When you go down to campaign details, you can say, hey, our objective, like we said, is leads, our bid type is auction, all of that. And then you can also add in general, you can add a campaign spending limit. So let's say you're like, hey, I want to make sure I don't spend anything more than $300. And so once the campaign, let's say over a month or 2 months, if you're like, I want to run this until my ad budget is out, you can add a budget there, and Facebook will automatically shut down the campaign once you've hit that. And you can see obviously right now 0 out of 300 spent. But for this, we tend to like really managing our ads ourselves and our budgets ourselves. The other thing too, and I won't do this today, but here you can also create A/B tests. This is really good if you are wanting to create, you can say like, hey, do we want to test different offers? Like maybe we do 2 weeks for unlimited for $30, and maybe another one we just advertise a monthly membership, and we want to see which one performs better. So if you want to do an A/B test, you can go in here and you can check like, hey, do we want to test different creative, which would be different offers? Do we want to test maybe different audiences? Do we want to see how younger people versus older people? Maybe we want to see like people who are in different areas, like how they respond to these ads. There's a bunch of different ways that we can test. And this is something a little bit more advanced. I would, for your first ad, do not worry about the A/B test. I'm just more talking about this like as you get more advanced and more comfortable with these things. Facebook has some great built-in tools to really get you the analytics to really understand and see how you can really improve your ad set. So go ahead now and click next. And then, so we'll say new lead ad set, and we'll say Walla webinar lead set. And as you can see here, it says conversion, choose where you want to generate leads. And by default, it'll say Instagram, but what we're actually going to want to select is instant forms. The reason we want to select an instant form is the great thing about this is since Meta has everybody's information already, when they go in, they will be able to hit, yeah, like I'm interested in this, and then it'll automatically fill out the form for them. They don't have to enter their name, email, phone number. It'll do that all for them. So it's a really great way of capturing their information. The next part here is you're going to need to select your Facebook business page. So like I said before, it's important to connect your personal account to your actual Facebook business account, because this is where it'll be located, and you have to select your business page to be able to run an ad. So you can see here we have a bunch of different pages based off of like, clients that I'm working with, but we're going to select flight room here. And then the other thing too, you'll see is you can see here, it says you've accepted Meta lead ad terms for this page. If you haven't accepted the terms, it'll say that right here. You can just hit view terms and accept it. It's basically saying like, hey, when you are collecting people's information, you're not going to do anything nefarious, and you are going to use the information like you said, and that you're going to respect people's privacy. So here for performance goals, we want to maximize the number of leads. And more advanced, and this is something we could talk about on a future strategy call, things like that, is you can also eventually attach pixels and things like that also to your site to really connect the entire ad to end, so we can see like, hey, people came from here and then they actually purchased it, and we can tie that completely in there just to get more in-depth reporting. For dynamic creative for this, I really wouldn't worry about this right now. So we can move on to the next session. this is probably one of the most important sections. And this is one where most people get really scared because they'll say, like, hey, you need to spend X amount of money each day. And, maybe you're like a small business, you're a single studio and you're like, I don't have like a ton of money and a ton of like leg room to just be able to be spending hundreds of dollars a day or whatever on an ad. What I recommend for people, especially at the beginning, is just do $10 a day. uh you will reach a very good audience. You'll see how your ads performing. It will allow you to learn at at a way when, so you can see like, hey, is the ad that I've created really resonating? Are we getting a lot of value out of it? Because at the end of the day, when we're building ads, every dollar we're putting into the ad, we should be getting like threefold back. Like, so the thing I always tell people, we can always increase the ad budget. Like, if the ad's just going gangbusters and doing amazing, and we can be like, oh man, I'm going to switch it to $30 a day. Because, if you told anyone, if I give you $30 and you give me 120 back, you'd be like, yes, I'll do that deal every time. So the real reason I say this is just start out small, try to learn what's resonating with your specific audience, what's not, how can we adjust that, and then as the ad is really locked in improving, and maybe we have some open attendance, we can really increase the ad budget to really help increase the leads at that point. The next thing here is just the schedule. You can either by default, the start date will be right now. If you wanted to be like, hey, I don't want the ad, maybe you have like, you're building an ad, but you have like a fall seasonal program that doesn't start until November 1st. You can always select like, hey, I actually don't want to start until that day because it's actually not even going to be available on our site there. And then if you're also like, hey, I only want to run for a month, I could be like, hey, Facebook, turn the ad off on December 1st. For what I personally like doing is, because like I'm checking the ads, each day, is I don't set an end date because it's very, very simple to just shut off an ad manually yourself, which I'll show you at the end of this as well. But for some people that aren't checking it so regularly, it's really good to select an end date, because that way, if you forget about it or whatever, you're creating these essentially bumpers for you, and and really leveraging the tool to help increase that stuff. So ad scheduling, you can say ads running all the time, which is what we want. And then here is where we are going to get into one of the most important parts of excuse me, of of the targeting here. So as you can see, by default right now, my current size of my audience is almost 167 million people, which obviously it's everyone with a Meta account in the United States, which, we do not want that. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is really look at the locations. So you can see here, I'm going to close out the United States here. And then, I'm in Seattle. So my first thought might be like, hey, I want to target everyone in Seattle, Washington. But when we look at that map, that is a big map. That is people across the Puget Sound. Those people are never going to come to my studio. And I really don't want to be spending money on people that aren't going to be coming, that have really no chance of becoming a member. And so that's where understanding your local geography can really help. And you can see here, I could even go like, hey, it's right now saying anyone within 25 miles of Seattle, Washington. I could take it all the way down to like, hey, 10. But it's still not perfect. It's still very general. And so what I really recommend is zip code targeting. So what we can see here is if we're like, hey, I want to target this neighborhood in Seattle. It's on Capitol Hill where I used to live. And then you can see here, look, I am now targeting everyone in this specific geographic area. And you know what? I also want to target another neighborhood. And you can see here, and now I am capturing these people here. And so basically what I would look at is like, look at your local market. And this goes for whether you're in a big city or you're in a rural area. Think about, hey, how far is it reasonable to come to my studio? What zip codes are around me that I think would be most effective to target? And then we can really nail down the people. So you can see like right now it's gone down to like, hey, there's now 46,000 people just in these two neighborhoods. Obviously, I would in an actual ad that I'm building, I'd add a ton more zip codes around there to really capture everyone that we want. But for just the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to keep it at these two right now. The You can see here right now it has a minimum age 18. For us, I'm going to say 22. I'm going to say, hey, we actually want to be 22. We want to target people that are coming out in out of college. Like we want working professionals. The next part here is advantage audience. This is basically advanced targeting for it. Always use this. Even if we're just doing uh even if we're doing a great job and targeting very specific zip codes and everything in here, we really want to make sure we're doing more than just geo targeting. So when we go down to the advantage audience, the first thing we'll see here is age. And this is where it's really good when you're looking, because everybody has a different type of practice. Some people have, like a recovery practice that might be targeting people that are more older, like with Pilates, things like that. Some people, are running hot yoga studios. So maybe their clientele skews very young. Some people might have a great mix. So when you're thinking about your clientele, who really resonates with your type of studio, really think about who you are and what is your competitive advantage and who do you really attract in there. So this is where you can then select, hey, I like, for us it's like we get young people and we get older people as well. So we're going to start though at age 25. For us, it's like, I think some of the challenges when you skew a little bit younger in ads is, they're looking for free things, they don't have a lot of money, they might not necessarily be great customers for you, and they might not convert into long-term things. So when we're spending our ads, we're trying to get the highest value customers, not just anyone. One other note that I think is very important for people to see here is, you can see here 65 plus. 65 plus is literally, if you select this means if you're 65 years old to like 120, you fall into that single button. So for a lot of people, it might make sense more to target 64 and be like, hey, we're trying to target people who are from these ages, because the second you grab this, you're going to grab a huge swath of people above that. And depending on your type of business, maybe that's not the people that you specifically want to target. So for this example, I'll keep it at 64. Then the next is gender. And this is where, again, when we're talking about effective ad spend, like, we'll have men and women and everyone else like welcome into our studio no matter what gender they are. But when we're talking about effective ad spend, we need to think about who is our primary customer, who's most likely to come. So for this, let's say we want to target women because we're like, hey, you know what, women are real bread and butter here. We don't have a lot of ad money to spend, so we really want to focus on our highest paying, most reliable customers. And then the other thing you can do is you can always save your audience that you can use for other future advertising programs that you might want to do as well. And then as you can see here, as I'm building it, you can see it saying like, hey, your audience is defined. Obviously my audience right now is pretty small because of the zip codes. It would be much larger if I added all the zip codes around me, but this is good. You tend to want to be in the green area where it's not too broad, it's not too specific. We're going to get a good amount of people here. So that is basically the general targeting there. Here, this is about placements. This is more advanced kind of advertising that we won't get into today. So you don't really need to worry about that. For right now, we're going to really focus now on building the next section, which is the ad itself, actually. So as you can see here, I am now into the ad itself. So we're going to say Walla webinar ad. And you can create this template here. I would not worry about a partnership ad. This is typically for bigger businesses that are running conjunctions. Maybe in certain communities, you might be like, hey, I'm a hot yoga studio and I'm running a partnership with a Pilates studio. You can definitely go through that. And we can talk about more of that in individual strategy sessions. But for this call, I wouldn't worry about that. The next, like I said, you want to select flight room here. And you can see any form submitted from your ad will go to flight room, which is perfect what we want. And then the next thing, you're also going to want to select your company's or your studio's Instagram account. It should be selected by default, but if it's not, you can just collect there. And if you have multiple Instagram accounts, they'll show right there and you can select that. So the next section here is we want to create the ad. And now it's asking, hey, what's the format of your ad? Do you want a single image or video or carousel? Carousel is basically like it's rotating images, things like that. For this, we're going to go with a single image or video. So
Hey, Tim,
then,
just quickly on
yeah,
that, is one more expensive than the other?
no,
Okay.
there is no cost difference at all. And this is really, and this is again where I'd recommend more like if you're going to do carousel, test to see how that works. And just
Mm-hmm.
in general, it's always good to refresh your creative every like month or 2 months with just maybe a different image, things like that. So in case people are getting served the ad again, it's not just looking like the same
The same
thing.
thing. Okay, cool.
Because you will see a lot of times like people might not click on it the first couple times they get served, but the third or fourth they click. And so just always trying to keep things fresh. And then excuse me, the next here is you can see the ad creative. This is where it's really important to then add your actual images and video. And for this, you can see I have 3 images here. These are just basically generic ad images that I've created in Canva. And so one thing that I recommend, Canva, it's an amazing graphic design tools for people that are not graphic designers, that are small business owners that are looking to build their own ads because maybe they can't afford, like to hire a whole creative agency, obviously. And the one thing that you'll see here, and I'll follow up after the call, is you're actually going to want ads in 3 different dimensions. One's widescreen, one is square, and then one is vertical, like on your phone. And the reason is, and you'll see here, is when we go to add the media. So we're going to go ahead and add our images. And then we go here, you just click upload. And then I am going to go to my Facebook ad images. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to upload. I'm going to upload my ad here. Okay, great. I hit next. And now you can see why we need to upload different different image sizes, because depending on where the ad is served, Facebook will be serving your ad in various different formats. So if you only have a single image, you'll see like somebody would see an ad like this with all this gray space, which isn't super great. So you can see for the ratio, this one looks great. Okay, we're going to keep that. But for this one, we're going to replace this ad. We're going to upload now the vertical one here, and we're going to select this. And then we're also going to replace this one with our widescreen ad here. And then now you can see we have, and then we're actually going to want to go that to just zoom in a little bit to cut out the gray space. And then now you can see we have 3 well-formatted ads where we're promoting a free week at Flight Room as like our incredible intro offer. And then so we now hit next here. And then this is where it'll say, hey, do you want to use basically Facebook's automated ad enhancements? A lot of these are great. Please turn off the music though. It is crazy the type of music Facebook will try to play. We tried one time with some ads for us, and it started playing heavy metal, which is not very aerial yoga, very basically, it just does not work for us. So
Not on brand.
yeah, it's not on brand. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. So by these, I really like these. Help just make the images pop better there. But basically, when you get to this, just disable the music, and then you can hit done. And then you can see now some of these ads are starting to get populated over here, and this is going to show you like, hey, this is how it will look on different areas. Like, hey, look, this is how the ad will look on Instagram. This is when somebody's in their role on there. But you can see right now, it's still just using the image and then a generic sign up. So this is where we're going to create our primary text. And then we're going to see like, come fly with, oh, whoops, come fly with us. And then you can see here at the very beginning, it says, you can see it's added that. And this is essentially your headline. Really, in the primary text, you're going to want to say like what the offer is. Like, hey, like really, we'd probably be like, get 1 week of unlimited classes, and to really try to entice them into the studio. Obviously, right now, this is just generic copy for the sake of an example. But what you can see here too is you can add additional options. So what you can do here is you can add up to 5, and we can say like, come fly with us and join our community. Whoops. Sorry.
This is good for everybody who hasn't watched. Go back and watch the webinar we did with Barre from Fitness Career Mastery, because he talks a lot about copy and calls to action and how to do that, very specifically for your brand. So you could watch that, play around with it, and then come back to your ad.
Yeah, perfect. And the reason that you want to add additional ones is Facebook will start placing these differently to different people. So for one person might show this, for another person might show this. The reason you want to add multiple is depending on performance. If people are more clicking a lot more on this title versus this, Facebook will dynamically start serving this ad more. So the more data you give Facebook, the more it's able to learn, the more it's able to really help you. The next thing here, you can also see that they will add they will have their AI here to be like, hey, I've got some additional options for you, and you're like, oh, hey, I really like that what they wrote here. And you can obviously modify the AI, recommend that, but a lot of times it's a good starting point. So they're like, oh, that's really good, unlock your potential, I didn't think of that. And I'm like, yep, I want that. And you can just hit check, and then it'll apply that also to the other text variations. The next one here, this is a headline. This will show up down here. Join flight room now. Whoops. Now. And so now you can see here on the ad, it says join flight room now, sign up. And then this is also where it'll give you, again, like multiple variations. We're like, hey, I like this 1 week fitness. And it'll scan like your copy and your other things too to try to provide you with additional options for your headlines if you're struggling. The next here is a description. It's like flight room is an aerial yoga studio where you can experience the fun of flight. And so as you can see, the description here is down at the bottom. It'll use the 3 dots. Obviously, you can add, I recommend giving a very detailed description of the services, your studio, etc., because people can always click and get that information there. For this, I'm going to try to keep it kind of short. For the call to action, right now it's a sign up, but you could say like whatever you want, get offer, learn more. But for this, we're trying to get people to sign up for a free week at Flight Room. This was what we went over where the music, you can see music's turned off, turned on, add overlays. And then this is where it's also going to be really important. This is where we're going to want to create our form to capture people's information. So when we hit create form, we will say the first thing we want to do is we want to get their contact information. So we're saying, hey, get your email, your first name, your last name by default. And I'll say test form here for the form name. And then the form type, what we're really going to want to do is more volume. Like I said before, that makes it as easy as possible for people to actually submit the ad. And then for the intro, you're going to want to choose a background image. This would be your logo. So for us, you can see it'll be up here, and you can upload an image there for this. Just for time's sake, I won't do that, but you can add it to really brand. Greeting, I also recommend like thank you for showing interest in flight room. Just as a man, I am also making a lot of typos.
Public typing is awful. It's like doing public math and public typing are two of the worst things ever.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this is just like a nice way of greeting
Yeah.
people. And then you can be like, thank you. And you can write as much as you want here
Yeah.
in terms of that, or provide like a list like, hey, this is what you get.
Yeah.
For questions, like I said, we have their first name, last name, and email. You can reorganize it here, especially with Walla, because Walla has this awesome texting option as well. What we're really going to want to do is also ask for their phone number here. So now you can see, hey, first name, last name, email, phone number. Perfect. The next section here is your privacy policy. I recommend, like, you need a privacy policy. It can be very generic. Essentially, again, what this is this is a very generic privacy policy that you can find on the internet and use yourself. But essentially, it's just saying, we respect your data. We're not going to share it with people. Yeah. We're not going to use it, etc.
You have to have that to be approved for your Walla text phone number anyway, so it's probably on all of your sites. Just copy that in.
Yep, exactly. And it really just like helps cover you for legally. And then here, once they submit it, the message for the leads, it's like you can say, hey, thanks, like you're all set. And then you can say, you can visit our website to claim your membership now, or we will be in touch soon. So the next thing too that you're going to want to do here after they submit their information is you're going to want to send them to your website. Here, we're not going to want to send them to a privacy policy because this is where they're going to purchase. So for us, we want to send them to where our new students are going to go. So we're going to send them over here to the new students. And then instead of you can say view website, or say claim your free week now. So, even though we're capturing their information and we'll be able to create these great follow-up messages in Walla, what we're really going to want to do is if somebody's like super excited and they're ready to go buy it right now, we want to make sure we offer them that they can go through the website. But a lot of times people might be on a bus or something. They're like, oh, this is cool, but I don't have time to enter my credit card information and stuff. So I'll get to that when we get home. So for those people, and this is where it's important, and this is where we're going to come full circle all the way back to Walla and really show you how this all works, is, we've created the ad, we've created the forms. You can see here that our form right now, this is what our form looks like, the privacy policy, thanks, all set, all these things. We've done a great job creating it. But now, what happens if people say, hey, I'm interested, but they never actually go to the website and buy anything? This is where Walla is key. So,
hey, Tim,
yeah.
Before we jump into Walla, really quickly, Susan was asking, and we had a conversation in the Slack about excluding your current clients. So I know when we were building that ad set initially, it had an exclude section in it.
Yep.
We can show you guys how you build an audience in Walla of your current members, but would you upload like an exported list of email addresses in there?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can upload like a CSV or a spreadsheet. and use that as an exclusion so it doesn't serve to those people. The only note is like if they have like a different email address on Walla
right.
versus their Facebook, it won't be able to resolve that.
Right.
But as long as they're the same email address and contact information, you will be able to exclude that
Okay,
way.
cool. We'll walk through. I mean, it's part of the audiences that we're looking at anyway, Susan. So we'll dive into that.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
so if I go
Walla.
now over to Walla and we go to the sales and marketing center, the first really important thing to do is you're going to want to scroll down and you're going to see Meta here and you're going to see Business Suite. Right now you can see mine, it says manage. Yours, if you haven't set this up, is going to say log in. You'll click log in here and you will just, it'll show you a Facebook prompt and you will log in with your Facebook business account. So you can see here, I have already connected all our account to all 4 of our locations. And just so you know, your Facebook login in Walla stays active for 90 days. So each 90 days, you'll need to come in and hit, refresh and say, hey, yes, I want to reconnect these leads. Because Facebook, for security reasons, just won't let you have it, working forever. But now you can see, oh, look, back up to 90 days. And you can do that at any point just to refresh it. So we now have our Facebook account selected. So one thing just to note, when we're going through and we're creating forms and things like this, it'll take about an hour or so for the forms to get loaded into Walla for targeting. But since we've already built a bunch of ads and targeting for our programs, we already have some forms loaded in. So the next thing what we're really going to do is, like I said, the use case of somebody submitted for the ad, but they didn't purchase anything. They're still a great lead. We can still convert them to a membership. So the next thing we're going to want to do here in our journey is create journey. We're going to just say, well, test for this, test, name your journey, Facebook or Meta Ads, and then you're going to hit save journey. Then we're going to add our first automation, and we're going to say follow up text day 0. A lot of times, I really recommend adding descriptions because in a year you may forget what the purpose of a campaign is. So telling people like this is what we're doing, add detailed descriptions, highly recommended. I also recommend in general adding some kind of date. So it could be like 10/17/24, just so you have some reference of when it was created.
Also, just quickly there, that description on any automation is what's pulled into the AI text generator. So if you're using our AI text generator, like essentially having ChatGPT and Walla, when you go to use that, it's going to pull the description as the initial prompt. So if you want to save yourself time prompting, that's going to be really helpful there. Quickly before you go into this, Tim, do businesses need to have a Facebook business account for each location?
No. Like we have one Facebook account that manages all of our locations. It's just in Walla. If you have multiple locations, it'll just show them individually. But yeah, you just need a single account. That's it.
Some businesses choose, like Mauricio, we have some businesses that have very distinct like owners or different kind of models where they do have separate location or Facebook business accounts for each location. A lot of franchises have different Facebook accounts for each location, but it's definitely not needed.
Perfect. Yep. And then so now what we're trying to do is like, now we want to follow up with someone as quickly as possible after they've submitted and they haven't purchased something. So, so what we do here is we then go, we want to build a custom audience, and then we go create custom audience here, and then we go add condition. So to target those people, so just so you know, once you have your Facebook account connected to this, every single time somebody submits a lead form in Meta, it'll now automatically send that record to Walla. You don't have to worry about that at all. It'll be in your database, all their first name, last name, email address, and phone number, and it essentially creates like a base account for them, which is great. So what we're going to want to do then is we're going to want to look and say, hey, how do I target those people that came on that form? So you're going to go down here to lead form completed. And we're going to want to look at a specific form. So you can see here, we're going to click specific form. Whoops. And then you can see here, we have run quite a few ads. But you can see like every form here that we have created is in here. And like I said, if you've created a form and you come in here and it's not here, just give it about an hour or two. It takes a little bit just for Facebook to send that information over to Walla. But we're going to say, hey, we're going to use the 2 weeks for 39. So it's like, hey, anyone that submitted this form, and then the other thing we're going to want to do is relative to today, and we're going to say exactly, and we're going to say 0 days. 0 days means today. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit them as quickly as possible after they submit the ad. It's really important that we do that because relevancy is so key to conversion in the sales process. It's the same reason companies have abandoned cart emails and things like that. So if you're shopping on a site and you leave, they know you had interest in this and they're trying to target you within a few hours to make sure that they're trying to capitalize on that. So what we want to do is when somebody submits the form, we really want to capitalize on that. So you can see right now it's saying, hey, anyone that submitted this form today, we want them there. But the other thing we also want to do as an additional condition is we want to check with contracts without a plan, because we don't want to target people who have purchased something already. We don't want to like annoy our customers. We want to make sure that our audience is only targeting the people we want to target. So we really want to be communicating with people who've submitted but haven't purchased. So you can see there that we got that. And then the next thing, we're going to configure text, and we're just going to say, like, hi, client first name. Always use personalization. It's shocking when you look at the metrics how much your performance will improve if you call somebody by their name. Hi, first name. Thank you for showing interest in Flight Room. You can redeem your free week here. And then I would add the link. I'm not going to do that right now for the sake of time here. And I always recommend too, or just respond to this text if you need any help setting up your membership. I always say, especially in text, when we're trying to convert leads, offer them like, hey, we'll take care of it for you. The amount of leads that has converted would shock you. Like just taking that tiny little step off their hands is huge. And it allows you to use the inbox SMS feature there to quickly help them.
We hear all the time that people are like, would you like us to purchase this for you? And they say yes. Like people just don't want to have to deal with it themselves.
Yep.
So it's okay. Can I give you a quick call right now and I'll snag your credit card info, or, feel free to follow this link and create your account. Most people are going to want you to call them right then, get the credit card, be done with it.
Exactly. And then, so for this, then we can just save the message here. Boom, we have this message. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do here.
Quickly, Susan asks, putting a link in the text. So there's no link select or link substitute there, right? So you can see the personalization. You can either send them to either your plan URL.
Yep.
And that will put it right in there, and it will have a specific plan.
Yep, exactly. So you could select the plan and be like, for this, I'll just select this and say, hey, I want to select this. This is the link. You can just copy the link and then you can paste it here for them. And so I'll just keep that in there for this point. And then you hit save and exit. And then the next important part of this is to really leverage Walla's lead tracker, which is great. It's something that we use very regularly. So one of the things you can do is when, hey, when somebody submits a form, I want them to be added to the new lead stage. So when somebody comes in, make sure that they're also added to this. And then if for and as you get forward, like let's say we have another automation where it's like, oh, hey, they've attended and we want to remove them from a stage. You can always say, hey, if they enter a certain stage, remove them from this tag. But this will really help you manage your leads and help you also be able, if you want to follow up with phone calls on them, etc. Real quick, I'm just going to create like an email day for, because the thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create like a multi-step conversion program here over a couple weeks, because life gets in the way. Sometimes you submit, you want to join this yoga studio, but you can't. You forget about it. We want to make sure we continually reach out to them for a couple weeks. We don't want to inundate them with messages. We want to be very respectful of them. So try to like think about your cadence. And again, like I said, marketing is a learning process. Try to see how things are responding there. But for email, like I typically like to follow up with a text first. It's very personal. Then in subsequent ones, I like to do a combination of an email and a text. And again, if we're doing day 4, like I said, we go down to lead form completed. We say, hey, they completed that lead form that we talked about, but this time they completed it exactly 4 days ago. But we also want to make sure that between day 0 and day 4 that they didn't purchase anything, because if they purchase anything, we don't want to send them this message. So we have that condition again, contracts without a plan. So this is now quickly our day 4 email. And then just for people that are less familiar with the marketing center here, I really recommend for emails that you use, we're just going to put a test for the subject line. I really recommend that you use the advanced template builder. That's something I'm sure Laura can send more information on for you all, but you select advanced there, you hit start building, and then I recommend you also create a generic template that you can just modify quickly. So you can say, hey, look, I've created this template. I'm going to go build my email. And it's going to load my template.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, sometimes it doesn't when I share my screen. And you can see like, hey, we have hi, client first name, your flight crew, empty copy box, image. You can just quickly swap out images. I also recommend, just really quick, creating links at the top there for your new leads in case that they are interested in any other services you might provide. But for this, we're not going to worry about this because we're not actually sending this. But you also when you leave, always make sure to save and send a test email so you have that preview before you turn it on. And so right now what we've done, which is pretty great already, is we've created an ad over here. Everyone that's coming in through this ad will automatically be loaded in to Walla, and then we're going to have these awesome follow-up communications to help convert them. And like I said before, to turn them on, you would click each of these buttons here, and then you would also click down here and make sure it's active on this level as well, and then people will start receiving those messages. Same thing with Facebook. When you're done creating your ad and you feel comfortable with all this stuff, you just hit publish and it'll publish all 3. Facebook will review your ad through its system. It typically takes about 12 to 24 hours for it to get approved. But let's say you're not ready for that. You can always close out Facebook. You don't need to publish. Facebook is automatically saving everything you're creating. So you can see that my webinar ad is still there. And I'm going to deselect this. So if I ever want to come in and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to turn this ad on or off, you can just click here. The ad is on. I'm turning it off. And this is as easy as it is to turn ads on and off. You just click through those things. And the one other note I really wanted to show to you in terms of really helping your overall sales process here and really bringing in these new customers is you go back to the sales and marketing center. If you remember, I added that when they come in, like add them to a specific stage. And this is where the lead tracker is super great. So you click the lead tracker here. And this is by default, it's going to show every single person that you've been here. It'll show the source that they came in, what lead stage they're in, etc. As you can see, we've created various lead stages so we know where these people are. But let's say you're like, hey, I need to make some follow-up phone calls. So what you're going to want to do then is you're going to want to click lead stage, and then you can see, hey, look, boom, all the lead stages that we have here. And I want to look at all my new leads. I hit that.
Guys, I actually just recorded a webinar on how to use the lead tracker that we'll be sharing out with everyone, but it is really, really robust how to build these.
Yeah, let me see. Sometimes it's just always annoying when you're sharing. Let's
A
see.
screen.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. So you can see it's brought in everybody with a new lead tag. Some people have other tags as well. I also recommend organizing by stage update. This will tell you, like, hey, when they did this, it'll show you your last activity. But for this, let's say, oh, hey, Andrea, she hasn't purchased anything yet. So I want to click on her. And you can see here, okay, we're now in Andrea's thing. We have all this great information, latest activities. She came in through one of our lead ads. We sent a text, but she hasn't converted yet. So I'm going to give her a call. I go down here. Here's her information. I give her a call. The amazing thing about Walla here is you have these different actions. So if you make a call, you can say, hey, I had a good conversation with her. We talked about intro offer, but she wants me to follow up tomorrow. So I add that note. I then can say, hey, I'm going to follow up with her on Friday, the 18th. And then you can also decide, hey, if you were like, she's not a lead anymore, you can cancel out the stages. You can manually add any new stages here. And then it's super great here because you then can hit save, and everybody else in your business will now know, will see that. They'll say like, hey, this is a good conversation. Or sometimes, somebody might be antagonistic. You want to make sure you flag that so other people are hearing that. You can also email people directly from here. With this sends a very it will send an email just with your it'll send an email just with your logo on it, and I'll just open this.
Yeah, that's the standard email.
Yep.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't played around with this yet, this new panel, this kind of right side panel it's really kind of the updated version of, quote, working a lead or working a client, where you basically can kind of pop in there at any time. When you click this now from the roster, from the lead tracker, from most places in the software, rather than take you into the full client profile, it's going to pop up this thing on the side where you can work it really, really quickly. Like, Tim, will you click on text there? Like, you can build your text snippets. So see the little scissors underneath if you want to create snippets. Oh, you haven't built any yet.
Yeah,
Tim.
We haven't built any snippets.
Okay, so you can, where you click see snippet settings, you can create snippets that are like first follow-up for a new lead. So you don't have to type anything. You can literally write it once. It's so fast. So you can go through a list of those, or maybe the audience is on your dashboard. I mean, this will go into the next webinar that we do on the lead tracker, which I'll send out soon. But it's really going to help you from a time perspective working those new leads.
For sure. And I know it may be feeling like you're drinking a little bit from a fire hose here as I'm trying to go through all this stuff as quickly as possible. I know I'm already 15, 17 minutes over, but this stuff is really important for your business. And like, the thing I really hope I leave you here with is that you can do this and that you have the budget, no matter what the size is. Because like I said before, if we're creating effective ads, this isn't money that's going away. This is an investment. This is like, we're putting in this money and we're expecting a return. Because if we're not getting a return on the advertising, then it doesn't really make sense to advertise. Right. And so, and like I said too, it's an ongoing process where you're really going to want to be continually learning, continually iterating. And that's really where our consulting company really works with our clients, and we be really excited to work with any of you helping build out, your lead programs, where we can really help define the strategy, help create these programs, help you iterate, and really help create that sustainable long-term revenue for your company. And like Laura said earlier, we'll probably have additional follow-up webinars and things like that on this, because this is a lot of information. I really encourage you all to set up strategy sessions with us. It's a
Yeah.
free 30 minutes where we can review your business, really give you some recommendations, and figure out, if maybe it makes sense to really work together long term. But I want to hand it back over, to you
Yeah.
now, Laura, to see if there is any other questions or things that anybody else wants to ask before we have to jump off.
Yeah, I mean, I think thank you guys all for popping in with your questions and feedback. It's a lot of new that we've built in the software over the last few months, and if you think about it, there are people that take months taking marketing courses and
Yeah, sorry.
hi Tim's friend. But
Yeah.
people take months to do marketing courses or go to school for this. So don't expect that you know how to do everything on day one. Start with small bites. It might be building one ad and then building that one audience that Tim just showed you, like how to have a text go out to those people, within an hour of them creating it or filling out the lead form. And that's where you start, and that's great. And then set up your strategy session with Tim if you'd like, and really just dive into how you can make this a sustainable practice that's consistent in your business. Because the big thing Tim talked about at the very beginning is consistency with marketing is the most important part of it. If you just come in and say, oh, it's Black Friday, I'm going to run a bunch of ads, or it's the new year, I'm going to run a bunch of ads, and then you do nothing else the rest of the year, that's not a consistent marketing practice that's going to lead to consistent revenue month over month. Go ahead.
And the one thing I was going to leave you with that is also key with that is when you're thinking about your sales process and you're thinking about all that, constantly think about how easy is it for my customers to purchase something from me? How easy is it to navigate? Because the best way of looking at this stuff is every basically action you ask somebody to take, it's going to be, you're going to lose about 20 to 30% of your customers. So for example, you send an email. How many people open an email? If it's an amazing email, it's 40%. So you've already lost 60%. And then from there, they have to click and then they have to purchase something. So just always think, and that's why I send the text, always offer to take care of things for people. If you can, making it as easy as possible on people will really help you convert those leads.
Yeah, awesome. All right, for everybody that's asked, anytime you register for a Walla webinar, you get a recording of it, so you don't have to worry about it. That's part of the brilliance of this awesome platform we have on our website. And they will also always live on our website, so you can go back anytime if you lose the email and you can rewatch. Thank you very much for spending your morning with us, and let us know if you have questions afterwards. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Talk to you all soon.
Bye, everyone.